Yo, what's up, guys? This is my crafter combination lock. We got a code here. We put the code in. It does some stuff. You do some more stuff. You don't actually have to be in the crafter anymore, but I'm just showing you what's happening. And then it does some stuff and some more stuff. And then as long as this red light is on, it's still doing stuff. Bam. Stuff is done. Door opened. That's pretty cool. This combination can be anything you want, right? It can be this. It can be this. It can be this. This. Anything. Literally anything. Right now, I have it as that. Okay. So I've literally just recorded this entire video and my mic was muted. So I'm gonna try and do this much quicker. I started this a long time ago, or at least my first attempt was a long time ago, because I saw a YouTube video where somebody did it after the crafter was initially added to the game. This was my first attempt. It doesn't work, and it's really quite gross. Yeah, see. It was going to use minecarts and non-stackables, and then I didn't even know how to figure out how to get the code at the end of it to work. This did work though. I thought everything up until figuring out the combination worked, but now it doesn't. Then just a couple of days ago, I don't know, maybe a month ago. Where did I? Oh, right here. Yeah, maybe a month ago, I discovered it in my world, and I went, oh, I should try that again. And so this was my second attempt. Oh, that's the code. Okay. And it's not as nice as the one that I showed at the start, because it uses beds, which are kind of ugly, and it takes a long time. There we go. It went ding. You have to wait for this one to go ding before it does what you want it to do. That's not supposed to be in there. But it does drain fast. That's a bonus, because they're non-stackables. Yeah, and so that's that system. That works. Then I went, I don't like that it's non-stackables. I think I can do it better. Then I made this one, and then I also, literally this one's the exact same. It just has a hopper there instead of a hopper minecart, because the hopper minecart has some finicky business involved. Right, there's the hopper minecart. Right, so I'm going to really rush over how this one works, because it's not the main one. But basically, once you put an input in, this torch gets turned off, which lets this timer start, and that timer waits about, 5 seconds to give you time to actually put in the code. Then after that happens, it starts another timer, which unlocks the bed hopper right here, and that will keep unlocked for as long as it takes for 9 items to fill. And then it will lock again. So, oh, hang on. Gotta wait a second. There we go. So it's filling, and then it locks again, and you hear that ding. That ding means that it's done. And oh yeah, true. That was my bad. Yeah, so that ding means that the timer stopped, and then it waits a little bit longer with another timer, and that's for you to remove the buttons, right? So it waits a little bit with that first timer, then it has a second timer filling this up, then after that timer ends, it dings, telling you to remove them, then it has another timer to give you time to remove them, and then it has another timer which lasts as long as it takes for 9 of these to fill into the crafter. Then after that timer ends, it drains it all. And there's a short timer or like a pulse extender almost to keep that going until it's fully drained. Okay. So yeah, first timer goes, it fills it. So first timer goes, it waits. Then it has a second timer which fills. Then it has a third timer where it waits. Then it has a fourth timer where it fills. After each fill, there's an item left in here, as you'll see. There we go, items left. And see, they just got drained by this that hopper minecart thing right there. There's a hopper minecart in this block. And there we go. It just drained the excess reds as well, or the excess shulker boxes. So yeah, that's literally just to clear this hopper so that the shulker boxes can go straight in without adding extra beds that we don't want. Yeah, and so basically what happens is when those are drained, certain ones of these, like this hopper right here, will be locked, which will force the drained beds to go along here, and they literally just end up at an item elevator somewhere. Yeah. The beds, they go along here, blah, 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 they end up in this item elevator. And then after draining the red ones, they go along here, because this hopper's locked, and they end up in back in the start. And then, in the final drainage, you saw the double piston extension, which does a block swap here, which brings the hopper minecart underneath the crafter, which is also on top of this, which goes down the same system. And now everything is unlocked, and it goes along here, and here they all get divvied up into their own little hoppers, which I'll show you. Oh, that's the wrong button. Right, so that's just down there's a little system to separate all the items. Okay. So you'll see once the items start coming through here, all of these are going to lock these hoppers. So there we go, that hopper's locked, that one, that one, that one. And so it goes along, and then we'll unlock them, putting them into this thing, this dropper. And if it's a shulker box, it's not going to be able to go into this shulker box, because that's just how the game works. And if it's a bed, it will be able to go in. And so the shulker boxes go straight down into these hoppers, and they end up in the shulker box drop evader. And then the other ones, the beds, they go into these shulker boxes for a little bit of time, which can be read by these comparators, which goes into an AND gate, and that opens the door. And then this is a really gross pulse extender, but after a little bit of time, what are these called? These hoppers will unlock, which lets the beds go back up to the start. And that's the full system. The reason that there's this whole block swapper thing is because I didn't want a hopper underneath the crafter. Cool. So that was my first good attempt, because that one over there, I don't really remember the story. This one works totally differently. Instead of a bunch of timers, because things can break if you don't do it right. Right? It's like expecting a player to hit a button once and then they spam it and then the machine breaks. So this one works better. This one, instead of waiting for the ding, as soon as it's full, you can start emptying it. Bam! See? Look at that. And it's not okay. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. So we'll just wait. Oh, damn, that's embarrassing. Anyway, it's much more robust, so the system's just reset and it's totally fine. Yeah, so this will fill up, and then just after, now we can remove them. Okay, that's pretty much straight away, and that's literally all you had to do. and everything else is automatic. But I'm now going to explain how this works. Ignore this long repeater line. That's literally just to keep the red light going to signify that the machine hasn't fully reset yet. Like that red light is just for looks. You don't actually need it. By the red light, I mean the crafter's powered. Yeah. Anyway. Also ignore the comparator. That is unavoidable. But I don't think it looks too bad. Like, yeah. And also you can just have a doorway there. So basically how this works is once you click a button, you'll get an output on this comparator, which will trigger this RS null latch, which basically turns the whole system to the on function. I'm going to call this on and this off, right? Once it's on, it waits a little bit. That's what this repeater line here is. So there is a couple of timers. I mean, they're not really timers, but they're just a little bit of delays. That basically gives you about, I don't know, 3 seconds or so to fill in, maybe a little more than 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, gives you 4 seconds to fill in all of the buttons you want to press. So you'll see it's now switched to the on position, which then depowered that, which then powered this torch, which then powered this piston was extended. It powered that redstone dust, which depowered that torch, which unlocked the hoppers with the green. Okay, and basically, so that just filled that, but then it stopped filling, right? Because you'd expect if it kept filling, this would go up to 2. This one would go 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. You know how it fills a crafter. But basically, where the comparator output is, this comparator output's here. Once it reads a 9, right? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So only when it reads 9 is this powered, which locks that hopper and that hopper, which were inputting the green. It also then locks this hopper right on top, which is going straight into the crafter. And at the same time, it reaches 1 here, and it reaches 1 here, and it reaches 1 here. When this reaches 1, as in the crafter's at 9, it will power this little pulse extender circuit, which literally just depowers this hopper right here for a second. Because as I showed you in the other one where there's like 4 beds built up and then it extended the piston and drained them, this hopper will unlock, which drains the one item that's left in here, the one green glass pane that's left in there, to then make room for a smooth flow of the red glass panes. This one, when it reaches 1, it also powers this repeater, but that doesn't matter because it'll already be powered by this. But the depowering, this will unpower, and then 2 ticks later, this will unpower, meaning that this powers in 2 ticks. So this block powers in 2 ticks, but it unpowers in 4 ticks. And it also locks. No, it doesn't. This repeater also locks this this hopper right here by powering this redstone dust. Cool. This also reaches 1 at the same time, which powers this hopper, which the observer detects, which then goes through to depower these 3 repeaters right here. And those 3 repeaters get depowered for just, the tick of an observer, which is, well, it gets depowered for these 2 ticks here, which lets this redstone torch that was on, it unlocked and relocked this repeater and these 2, but nothing happened with them. So now this repeater is powered. And what happened when that repeater got powered is it went down here and it powered this, which depowered this torch, which retracted this piston, which is exactly that torch that I showed earlier that was powering, which was unlocking this hopper. And the reason that we retracted that is because once I remove that button there, the signal is going to drop below 9, which is going to depower this redstone dust, which is going to unlock this hopper, which we don't want to happen because we obviously want the red to flow in after, not the green. So basically, that piston retracting just made it so that the hoppers are locked by this torch here, even if this redstone dust is no longer powered. Yeah, so then when I remove this, it's going to drop below 9, which is going to make this less than 1 again, which means that this hopper is going to turn off, which means that this observer is going to trigger again, which is going to let the signal go on this time. And this one powers this redstone line right here, which has a little bit of a delay because, oh, okay. So imagine I had like all these ones filled, and then I took one out. It would then trigger that circuit. So there's a little bit of a delay to give you time to remove all of the buttons you initially pressed. And yeah, so that's what. So this goes along here, and it has repeater, 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 and basically that's your time to remove all the buttons. And it will turn off this torch, turn on this torch, turn off this torch. That torch will now be turned off, which will let the red glass panes flow. And also remember, it would be less than 9 at that point, so this would be off and this would be off. All of these hoppers would now be unlocked, except for these two. No, except for this one, because this torch is on, because that's retracted. So that's gonna, when I remove this, it's gonna do all that. It's gonna wait a second, and then it's gonna unpower this torch, and then it's gonna flow in with the red ones, and the red ones are just gonna flow. Then the red ones flow, and it reaches 9 again. Once it reaches 9, powers this, which locks this center hopper, which powers this, which locks these two hoppers. And also reaches 9, powers this, which triggers this to unlock, which will drain that excess red glass pane. And it will also power this hopper again, which will cause this signal to propagate through one bit further. Okay, so I'm gonna do that now. But I'm gonna get tick freeze ready. Okay. I did tick freeze wrong. Okay, so I remove this, and it's now propagated through, right? And it's going to wait a little bit as it winds through those repeaters, and you're going to see this torch turn on. There we go, that torch turned on, and that torch turned off, which is going to let the red flow. See, the red's now in there, and there will also be a red about to appear in this one right here. There we go, there's a red there. And just after that, bam, that red is now locked in there so that it can't flow in and stack with this red. Then this has been powered because that got to 9 when that reached the red. And this also got powered, but we'll get to that. That's now going to unlock this this torch, which unlocks this hopper, right? So now that will have drained that red. There we go. So that center hopper is now cleared. And so this got powered, which triggered the observer, which unlocks these. There you go. As you can see, they're unlocked. And that signal is going to propagate through and get locked again. Cool. So now It's as simple as draining the crafter and resetting the system. So this final bit of the signal that propagated through, first thing that it does is it goes through here, powers this repeater, goes up here, powers this repeater, which turns this torch off and locks this hopper from inputting any more reds, right? Because right now it's locked because it's at 9. The crafter's at 9. So this has powered this, which has locked it. But as soon as this thing starts draining, it's going to go below 9, which is going to unpower this, which is going to unlock the hopper. So the very first thing that happens is this repeater powers, which locks that hopper so that it will stay locked even when this signal is gone. So we're going to just do that. Okay, cool. So that's now locked. Then what happens is it powers this copper bulb. It did that just a minute ago, which changed the state of this comparator, which powered that or depowered that hopper, and then that was detected by the observer, which must be about to happen. There we go. So the observer powered the 4-tick repeater, which triggered the pulse extender. And this pulse extender, basically, that's how long it takes to drain the crafter. And so I'm actually going to go over to this one because it's the exact same build. It's just very slightly simpler. So that pulse extender will power this repeater. And then it will go over here, which literally just depowers that torch, which this hopper is directly below the crafter. And so, yeah, so that pulse extender is going to keep that unlocked for as long as it takes for 9 items to come out. Then we're going to go back over here. So the pulse extender is going to power. And we're going to see that there we go, it started draining. Yep. And so once it's fully drained, the pulse extender is going to be off. And once the pulse extender turns off, you'll notice that it's currently powering these 2 torches. So when the pulse extender turns off, these torches are going to turn back on. There we go, torches turned on, which changed the state of these copper bulbs, which turned these comparators off, which triggered these observers. Okay, so these observers are now triggering basically the reset line to reset the whole system to be ready to put another code in. This observer right here is powering this pulse extender, which is going to unlock the propagation line, right? This propagation line is all going to be unlocked, but that's not going to do much because this is still powered, so it's not going to change anything. And so this observer goes down here and powers this pulse extender, which powers this torch, which powers this redstone, which powers this torch, which depowers this redstone, which powers this torch, which triggers the other side of the RS NOR latch. So we'll see those repeaters. There we go. So that RS NOR latch is now off, and these repeaters are going to unlock, which lets the off signal propagate through. But if we remember, this repeater is keeping this piston retracted, which is preventing this hopper from draining. And this repeater, which is the one that just powered, is powering this repeater, which is keeping this hopper from draining into the crafter. And since we're trying to empty the crafter, we definitely don't want more items flowing into the crafter. So what happens is this pulse extender powers this repeater, which powers this same redstone line that this repeater powered, which therefore keeps this piston retracted. And as long as that pulse extender is going, that piston's going to be retracted. And the reason that it has to stay retracted is because, yes, this line is now off, as in the RS NOR latch has switched back to the off mode, but this repeater is still on, and these ones all have to turn on for this torch to turn off. So this torch is going to keep outputting, and as soon as there's a block there, it's going to unlock these hoppers. And so this block stays retracted as long as that torch is on, which is what the pulse extender does. It just waits long enough for that torch to turn off before re-extending that piston. It also, this pulse extender, goes along here and powers this redstone dust, which, it depowers this, which depowers this, which then is going to power this torch. And this torch right here goes straight into the reading line, which locks that hopper and that hopper. Cool. So that's all going to be, every single hopper is going to be locked as long as this pulse extender is powered. So I'll just skip a little bit. Okay, so pulse extender is powered. All the hoppers locked. That does actually mean that this, where is it? This little bit here that, keeps the piston retracted doesn't really matter, but it's like 2 pieces of redstone and I had the space anyway. So it's literally just a little safety thing. Okay, cool. And these repeaters are now unlocked because this pulse extender depowered that to let the off signal propagate through. Right, so the off signal's there. This signal's propagating through to then turn this torch off. And remember this one, when it was powered, it unlocked this torch over here, which let those flow through. And so now that it's unpowered, once its off signal propagates through, it will then hold this locked even after the bottom pulse extender ends. So we go through and we'll see this is off, off. Cool. Right, so that's now powered, which is going to forcibly keep this torch off, which is going to keep this torch on. There we go. So now these hoppers are going to stay locked. And I think by now, yep, so this signal from the iris latch being off has propagated through and turned this torch off. So now, if this piston re-extends, nothing's going to happen. And if this redstone line turns off here, nothing's going to happen. Except that this will fire because this will turn off. This will cause this observer here to fire because this will turn off. And these will turn off, which will unlock the hoppers, but the hopper is locked here and the hopper is locked under here, so it doesn't matter. When this observer fires, it's going to trigger this to unlock the repeaters, but there's no signal to come through, so it doesn't matter. So there we go. Yeah, so this bottom one's about to turn off. Give it some more time. So it's keeping everything locked at the moment still. And okay, so now that pulse extender's just ended. Right there. So it's at 0, which has depowered this line. And it's about to re-extend this piston. Right. There we go. Which didn't do anything because this torch is still off. And this line being depowered didn't unlock this hopper here because this torch was on, because we let this off signal propagate through. Yeah, and that was the whole reset. This iris latch is now back in the off position, and it will be triggered back on as soon as this redstone signal gets any amount of signal strength by pressing a button in the crafter. Okay, cool. So now we understand how the top part works. We understand that the excess items that are left in the hopper at the back of the crafter get released down into this hopper. And I'm just going to tick unfreeze now. Actually, no, I won't. Okay, so the items that go down to this hopper, they go down along here, along here, along here, and and they go through here, down into this right here. And basically, the excess items just gets filtered between the green and the red. And if somehow magically an item that isn't green or red ends up in the system, it will actually go along here and I can't show you, but because I've got tick freeze. But yeah, it'll end up here and it'll just pop out at your feet, which actually does happen. I will demonstrate that soon. Okay, so now that I've shown you the excess item drainage, now the actual item drainage, I explained that this pulse extender here triggers that that item drainage in this hopper here, which goes down along here, across here, and it will go over all of these. And just like in the first one that I explained, it will actually split every single item into its own individual hopper. So if I just skip a whole bunch of ticks, maybe 40, maybe 80, maybe 120, 160. Maybe I unfreeze it. Okay. I honestly think that it might have already done it while I was explaining the other bits. So I'll just put the code back in. So it's going to fill up, and then when it drains, we'll see. There we go. So that's gone. That's gone. There we go. So these are all locking. Ah, didn't do it in time. Anyway, so they all locked. And then there's a little timer over here. As soon as the first one gets any amount of items in it, so as soon as this gets an item in it, it starts a timer, which lasts as long as it takes for this one to fill all the way up to here. And then it will cause every single one of the hoppers that had it in it. It'll force these torches to be off by turning these torches on, which will force these hoppers to unlock. And once these hoppers unlock, the items will flow across. Okay. So they were separated into green, red, green, red, green, red, right? If it's a green item here and it goes down and then it gets unlocked, which lets it go across, it's a green item that goes over this, and there's an item filter here for green items. So the green items will go down, and the red items, or anything that isn't green, again, you might actually put something in the system, it will go across here, just straight down, straight across. And then they end up going along here, and then they actually go back over these two item filters, just in case they're not red or green, because then they end up spat out at your feet again. Okay. So the green items, they go down, and they will all go down at the same time because all of these are unlocked at the same time. And so if it gets filtered through this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, you should know how an item filter works. This signal strength will bump up by 1, and it will temporarily depower this torch or power this repeater. And this is literally just an AND gate for the filters that should filter out green items, which, there we go, there's the output of the AND gate, so they should all be off, and that'll turn that on, which goes to a pulse extender, and this pulse extender goes to the door. Cool. Then the green items that made it down here, they are let through, and they go along this hopper here, and it's literally just joined up with the same hopper line that filtered the green items earlier. And so the green items, they go along here, go down here, blah, 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 end up at this drop evader, go up here, and they end up right back where they started in that hopper. And then the red items, they have a much shorter journey because, yep, they just go along here and into this drop evader and up and straight here. Cool. Done. If you want to change the code, you'll see the same signal that goes down a step will also go up a step, which will power these hopper bulbs. And so I want to change the code to a W, let's say. I've turned all those copper bulbs off. And I will just change the code in here so that I don't forget it. This is now going to drain. There we go. And we go down here. We'll actually see all at once, bam, they got powered. Now that didn't trigger the AND gate because it was technically the wrong code. But where the copper bulb is on, we're just going to make that a torch. And where the copper bulb is off, we're going to make that, oh, that's meant to be on, a repeater. So now you'll see if I put in the W and we wait, and then we take out the W, you'll see the redstone line is going to turn off. Just like that. There we go. Open the door. That's pretty cool. The code can be whatever you want, right? It can, as I said earlier, it can be a 1 or it can be a 9. Right, I'll show you a 9. Now the 9, you can't see the green filling up because it isn't. But if you take it away, it'll fill up with the red. And yeah, it just works. Right, so that's going to power all of these at once. You ready? Oh, sorry, it's not going to power any of these at once, actually. None of them are going to get powered because it was all red, and the red just gets ignored. Now, to do all green, it is very slightly different. Basically, you put this here till the green starts filling, then you take it away, and then you just want to take it out and put it back in. And now we'll see them all power at once. Are you ready? It's going to be pretty cool. Bam. So yeah, any code you want. Takes the same amount of time for every code. This redstone line here is just linked to the what's it called? The RS NOR latch. So when it is in the on position, it will straight away power the crafter, which turns these little corner lights on to indicate that the machine's running. And then when it turns off, it'll stay with the red light until all this runs out before eventually the red light turns off. And that's the time that it takes for this this pulse extender here to turn off. Yeah, so that's the whole thing. There is one extra bit that I have to show you because if you didn't notice, this one has no visible hopper, whereas this one that I said was simpler earlier does have a visible hopper. And this one down here that didn't have a visible hopper had the whole block swapper thing, and this one clearly doesn't have a block swapper. It actually has a hopper minecart just on a rail, activator rail, like that. But to get that hopper minecart to drain it is not as simple as just deactivating the activator rail, because it will drain way too fast for the hopper below the hopper minecart to actually, it'll drain way too fast for that hopper to suck it out. And basically what would happen is, if I just grab a hopper, what would happen is the hopper minecart is going to drain, like all 9 items pretty quickly. And the one below it is only going to get them at 1, 2, 3, 4, you know. And basically, we don't want them to drain that fast. We want them to drain at the speed that this hopper can accept them, because if they're draining faster than this hopper can accept them, they're going to start stacking up, and then we're going to lose the order that they come out, right? And they have to come out left to right. But if they stack, then it's just going to be 5 greens and 4 reds, which, yes, you can just have a combination of 5 and 4 or 3 and 2, 3 and 6, but it just wouldn't be as secure. So basically what happens is in the other one, it's just unlocked because it's just a hopper draining it. But this one has a little bit of an extra circuit here, which is a clock that powers this piston back and forth. And basically what happens is with leafstone, there's a 1 game tick, not a redstone tick. There's 2 game ticks to a redstone tick. There's 1 game tick difference. And basically what's happening here is it's going to go bang, bang. And it's going to go bang, bang. And it's going to go unpower, power. And it's going to go power this redstone torch, unpower this redstone torch, which is going to keep that activator locked. But then in the other order, it's going to go bang, bang, backwards. And then it's going to go it's going to go unpower this one and then repower this one 1 game tick later. So that's literally going to leave this activator rail unpowered for 1 game tick, which is just enough time for 1 item to come out of the crafter. And then basically this clock, wherever the clock is, where'd the clock go? There's the clock. It's just at the pace that the hopper below can accept the items. So basically it goes back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Every time that it goes back and forth, this hopper gets 1 item in it. So yeah, that's literally just to only let 1 item go through the hopper minecart at a time so that they don't stack. Which is, I don't know, there's probably better ways to do it. It's probably a little bit over-engineered, but, I really did not like the look of that. So I got rid of it. And that, as I said, that comparator, there's nothing you can do about it because you have to read from the crafter and you can't read from the back because there's a hopper going into the back. But you just have the doorway there or you have a wall there. And yeah, it works out pretty well. It's a bit of a big contraption, but I did try to keep it in a relatively square volume. Nothing below this point, nothing beyond that point, nothing beyond that point, nothing beyond that point. And there's only the only bit that goes above the height of this wall is just to indicate that it's going, which is not a necessary part of the machine. So you could break all this and this and this and this and that and all that. And yeah. Anyways, so that is my oh god, my crafter combination lock. Thank you for watching. Peace.